Hello to the pessimistic, optimistic, and everyone in between. My name is Connor Philippi, and welcome back to the Minnesotan Sports Podcast. And I hope you really enjoyed that brand new intro for the channel. I cooked that up last week, and I had a lot of fun making it and editing that and putting it all together. And I just hope that that kind of is the first part of many different good changes that I'm going to be making to this podcast, just kind of making it more well produced and just kind of bringing some of the things that I've learned over the last few years in my editing career and my media career into this podcast. So let me know what you think of it. I really enjoyed making it. But anyway, that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the Twins, and at this exact moment, they are 3 games above 500. They are 2.5 up on the Guardians. But as of right now, as I'm watching the game, they are down 2-0. That's frustrating because the last couple games we were actually able to score runs. We won one game by scoring 10 runs a couple days ago. And then all of a sudden now here we are again, unable to score runs. And it's just really frustrating. But that being said, the Twins are in a very unique situation right now. And that is that they are heading into the trade deadline currently leading their division by 2.5, but they are so close to being at 500 that they're at a position where some teams would even sell at this point, which is crazy to be leading your division and still being in the process of maybe selling players. And so the question is, the Twins are in this situation. It's always good to be in the playoffs no matter what your record is. But that being said, this is not a super good team right now. Can we make enough additions to actually compete in the playoffs? Or should we sell? Should we do nothing? So that's basically what I'm going to be doing in this video, is breaking down every single one of those options. So I'm going to start with the whole buy angle, and I'll kind of play devil's advocate for every single one of these different ones. For the buying angle, I think one main thing here is that the Twins' pitching has really kept us in games. And my research here says that the Twins have the 8th best run differential right now in the entire league, which is pretty impressive given the fact that we've been so unable to score runs, but our pitching has really backed that up. And so the most optimistic fans and the most hopeful fans that would want us to buy and try and get better for the rest of the season would say, hey, we're not losing games by very much. We're having a lot of trouble scoring runs, but our pitching has been so good that we can potentially, come back and win some of these games. We were losing a lot of games by 1 or 2 runs, games that got away from us in the late innings because our hitting just wasn't able to keep up. I mean, Sonny Gray right now, his win-loss total is crazy considering what his ERA is right now. And that can be said about a couple other players on this Twins lineup. And so the most optimistic of us fans would maybe say, hey, if we can just get a few bats that can really try and liven up this offense, our pitching might just be able to carry us at least to a couple wins in the playoffs. And right now, some of us fans are saying, just get us one win. Maybe if we can squeak out a miracle and beat one of the whatever 6 seed team we face in the playoffs, if we can just win one series, it would just really take a lot of weight off of our shoulders in the future and just know that it's something we can actually do. And that would make a bigger impact, I think, in Twins territory than you'd think. Because it shows it's possible, it shows that this team has potential, and if we buy in the trade deadline, win more games going into the postseason, and win a series, that's some great momentum. It's going to make players want to come here in the offseason, and it would show that we have the potential to be good still in the next few years, and we have a lot of young talent coming up. I mean, this roster is going to be a lot better if Royce Lewis comes back. We'll see about Jorge Polanco. He just keeps getting hurt, and who knows about how, we haven't seen him enough even to know how good he's going to be down the stretch. So there's a lot of unknowns about this team, but the most optimistic of fans would say, let's buy and see what happens here, because we have a potential division-winning team. Let's try piling on that and seeing just how good we can be in the postseason. And then on the opposite side of that coin, we have the sell angle. And I think the main contributor to that sell angle is the fact that I think some people think that whether it's management or whether it's just some weird mojo surrounding this team, it feels to some people like it doesn't matter who we have in this building and what good players we have trying to hit the ball. We just are not able to get it done. The inability to get hits, and what's kind of indicative of this different angle that people would use to argue this point is the fact that we are not getting hits specifically with runners in scoring position. Those clutch hits, those, important hits with big stakes, those are the moments that are really difficult to teach. You just have that or you don't. That clutch instinct. And you can be more clutch one season and less clutch another season. I'm not saying that that can't fluctuate. I'm just saying that's not, if we're not being clutch, then that's not really something that getting more players can help. That being said, we still could get some players that could come onto this team and their hitting and their clutchness could spread, because sometimes winning is contagious and that winning attitude's contagious, that excitement that comes with it is contagious, and new players could really jumpstart that. But from the selling angle, sometimes it does just feel like this team doesn't have it. And will two more hitters, good hitters, really change that? I'm not really sure sometimes. And the other angle is for those people that don't think that just winning one game or winning one series to end that drought, some people think that doesn't really make a difference. Some people would say, oh, great, we cleared that drought, but the drought of the World Series is still looming over us. And if we're not going to get to the World Series or have even a shot at getting to the World Series this year, then what's the point? And I also agree, if we were to by some miracle even make it past the first round in the wild card round, there is no way we are beating the Rangers or the Astros or the Rays, or I guess right now the Orioles are winning the division as of the exact moment that this video was made. But there's no way we're beating any of those teams, especially in a 5-game series with the team we have right now. But if you have that idea that just winning one series in the playoffs and then getting crushed isn't going to make that profound of an impact, then it would make sense to sell and just try and build a team that can actually win a World Series in the future, if you feel like adding a few more pieces to this team won't give us a shot in the coming years. And then finally, we have kind of the middle route, the let's just do nothing kind of approach to things. And these people just want to see how the season plays out and just wait for it. And by this logic, it makes sense in a lot of ways, because the Guardians are not doing well enough where it feels like they could even overtake us with the team we have right now. The Guardians at this moment are definitely worse than the Twins at this moment. So if you are going through the lens of we want to add more pieces to make sure we win the division, if this team doesn't win the division with even no help, just this team right now, if they can't win the division with how bad the Guardians are playing, then we don't deserve to make it to the playoffs, and we don't deserve the extra players that we could potentially get. And I think that's the angle that a lot of these people have on this side. And the whole 2 out of 3 game series, potentially a 3 out of 5 game series, I think a big benefit to just waiting and see is that we might be able to have a little bit better idea, I should say, of the players we're going to want to get rid of in the offseason in that playoff series. Because one thing that, again, like I said, you can't teach, one thing that's very important in the league is who is going to show up in the playoffs. And we haven't been able to see in the last few years any of these players try to show up in the playoffs. And so before we make a leap and say we're going to bring some players in to try and make a run this season and then try and re-sign them next season, let's find out which of these players can step up in the playoffs. If the same players who are underperforming in the regular season also do nothing in the playoffs and are not clutch and can't help us win in the slightest, then we can confirm those are the players we need to get rid of, and we need to replace those players to make our team better. And sometimes players show up in the playoffs and they take that momentum into the next year, and we're glad we didn't get rid of them. So I think that's a big factor in that lens of doing nothing. Let's just see how all these players play. Let's see how if Royce Lewis can come back at the end of August and into September. Let's see how he does in the playoffs. Let's see how Alex Kirilloff does in the playoffs. He's been really healthy this season. Let's see how that plays out. Let's see if Carlos Correa, he has had a history of starting off slow, and now we're well past the middle of the season point, and he's still kind of slow. Can he ramp up and be a huge factor in the playoffs like he was with the Astros? If that's the case, then that's a really impressive thing and a good sign for the team going forward. And there's other young players like Wallner that maybe can get some playing time in the playoffs. Just see, is our future in good enough hands where we don't need to rebuild and those players are on the up and up, and it would be a good combination of those young guys with some of our veteran guys? Or are those young players not going to get us there, and are our veteran players not going to get us there, and should we just scrap everything in the next couple of years? After all those different lenses, everything playing out, my personal opinion would be to just wait this season and see what happens. I think that's kind of guessed that was what my pick was because I spent more time on that one, but I just don't see the benefit this year of going all in, because with this team, even if we finish 4 or 5 games above 500, if our only goal is just to win that one playoff series, we could do that, because the 6th seed is definitely better than us right now. But like right now, it's the Blue Jays. I'm not saying I would pick us to beat the Blue Jays, but in a 2 out of 3 game series, there's a chance. If Sonny Gray plays as well as he's played all year, and we have good bullpen for a couple games, Joe Ryan could pitch the next game. I mean, if we get good enough pitching, we get some runs in. Really, any team in this league could potentially beat another team 2 out of 3 games in a sudden death or life or death situation like that. So I feel like I would rather not just try and get a few more players to make that happen when it's still a possibility with the players that we have right now. Let's see how good these players are in the playoffs. Let's see what this Twins team right now is made of when we are faced with a situation where we need to win or we're out. And I think that series, and maybe 2 series in the playoffs, will decide what we're going to do in this offseason, and I think it will be really telling about what our future will be. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to post a thread about this one as well to see what people's responses are. So please let me know what you think. Let me know if there are other videos about the trade deadline you want me to make. Otherwise, it's getting close to that part of the season where I'm going to be making a lot of NFL content ramping up to the season. And then it's going to be NFL for quite a while with some playoff MLB stuff mixed in September and October. But really excited to continue making some content here. I've had a really busy last couple weeks, and it's going to kind of die down a little more now in August. So I'm hoping to make a lot more content, and I'm hoping you guys enjoy everything I put out. So thanks again. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side.